It's good to see you, Anne.
Hi, nice to see you at
How are,
your
how's
living room.
how's Wisconsin?
It's too warm. It's it's going up to 50 degrees this week. When I was up north last week, there was no snow, which is bad because they depend on snowmobiling. And the sap is running already, and so this is global warming now. So we're
Yeah.
fine, but it's ridiculous.
Well, we're the same here in Ohio. So tell me, how long have you been with Create Wisconsin?
I am the first and only director this organization has had. The organization was founded in 1992, incorporated in 94, and I became director in 95.
What has changed since then?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Um, I'll say what is the same, which is that we're still a service organization that works from the ground up, right? We have always been a service organization. Advocacy is a big part of is integral to our service, but we exist to help everything connected with the arts and creativity around the state. So that's the foundation, that's the same. What is different is our name. This is Create Wisconsin is our fourth name. And we started as a network of local arts agencies, and we morphed, we kept morphing into a bigger service concept in that every organization that's producing or presenting the arts is concerned with its community. Every local government and economic development entity is concerned with quality of life and healthy communities. And we just kept expanding what we do to serve all of that. And we were Arts Wisconsin for a long time, and we just became Create Wisconsin 2 years ago because it is about the arts, but it's about the arts in a context where the arts are associated and integral to everything else.
So
So the world keeps changing, although many things are the same, but we just keep trying to stay ahead of that all.
I now have been saying arts organizations need to reframe to resonate.
Oh, I'm going to use that. Is that okay?
It's
Can I
fine.
can I steal that from you?
Absolutely. Reframe to resonate.
That is great.
If you reframe to resonate, you will see an increase in relevance, resources, and revenue.
That is, oh, could you send that to me, please, so that I can just totally steal it?
Yeah, I'll send you that along with an invoice.
Great. You know, um, we all work with many arts people, and I don't mean to be snarky when I do that, but there are many people involved in the arts, whether they run organizations or they're artists themselves, but everybody wears a lot of different hats in the arts world. And most people out there don't make their living in the arts, right? X number of people run organizations, X number of people are artists or performers that do their craft to make money. And everyone is creative in some way. And we have to, and the arts are as relevant to those people as people who are involved in the arts as a professional of some sort. And what people don't think about, which you and I are working on and your phrase says it, is that the arts are critical to everybody's lives, whether you think of yourself as an artist or not. And most people don't. I'll give you a story very quickly. We have a very supportive young legislator from up north in Wisconsin, very, very nice guy, comes from a small town, and he's very supportive of our bills, and he's a sponsor, and he's great. I was talking to him a few months ago about the arts and about his district and all of that, and he kind of said at one point, I don't really know anything about the arts. And I thought, oh gosh, yes you do. I went on my little soapbox, but then I found out that his wife is a professional musician. So I mean, and her whole family are professional musicians. So of course you're involved in the arts, and you live with the arts, and And he has children, so of course he's involved with the arts, but that was symbolic to me of the education that we need to do, whether it's with legislators or anybody else, about the fact that what they think of as the arts is not over there, but it's all around them. So that's, that's the interesting educational opportunity that we have every day.
When did the arts become a four-letter word?
That's another great phrase. I mean, you know, this is what you and I are trying to break down, right? People ask me about, arts funding, or, we don't support the arts, or we have I once heard a legislator say, we have higher priorities than the arts. And that has really informed my work and your work to
Yep.
make sure that people know that the arts are not something scary and only a few people do, but everybody is involved with. So yeah, it's an interesting path to take to try to make sure that people understand that it's not scary, it's not weird, but there's a lot of stereotypes. When people talk about starving artists, I hate that. Or they talk about fine arts, I hate that too. That kind of sets it apart when really there are so many different ways for people to express themselves.
It's not about the performance, and it's about the process. The
Yeah,
performance is an ancillary benefit that we all get from the process. And in the
right.
process is where the real human service work is being done.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I was with a client, and we were meeting with a bank foundation about this year's grant cycle. And this client was not given, didn't make the cut with grants last year. And these are small, right? Like $5,000 foundation grants. And so we were meeting with them to say, okay, how can we improve our grant application for 2024? And this individual was going through their 2 grant cycles, and one is workforce development. Nah, you're the arts, you don't qualify. And the other one is health and human service. You really don't qualify there, but you have a better shot there than you do for the jobs, et cetera. So I'm watching this meeting play out, and my client's going through talking about the different programs that they offer. And they every spring and fall then put on a community there are 500 plus person chorus that it's amazing, right?
Wow.
And so they talk about these spring concert and the fall concerts, but they have these student arts program, a prison arts program, and a community arts program. And as they were talking through the programs, I just was kind of sitting there, and I could, you're watching, we do this for a living. We watch body language, right? Because we're looking to see what's resonating and what's not, and what am I saying? So when the meeting was over, I said, let's stay, and the individual left. And I said, you just described your student arts program. And what you described is very interesting to me, because you're talking about taking, it started out as 20 international or newly immigrant and refugees students from 19 different cultures, don't speak English. The program's grown from last year from 20 students to 80, that you bus into your organization and you teach them songs to perform at the concert in the spring. I said, but as you walked through what you're doing, I said, that program is about communication skills, because they're learning English for the first time. It's about integration, because you described how 19 different cultures, they stay in their own pods, which is natural, or you stay who you're familiar. You are now teaching them to integrate and collaborate.
Right.
So I said, what are the better soft skills that employers look for? Communication, integration, collaboration. There's your workforce development program.
And we just have to keep hammering that home every minute of the day, right?
And he said, can I say that? I said, absolutely, you can say that.
You must say that.
So, and then we can talk about, human service. We can talk about, here's another one. If we spent more on prevention, we would spend less on correction.
Oh my, these are all really great phrases, Angela. I'm
Well,
gonna
I
steal them all.
spend a lot of time in my head thinking, but we don't think of the arts. We know all the benefits, right? But
Right,
my passion is to reframe, redefine what you think of when you think of the arts. And we are at the front line of solving real world problems. I'm working with a university whose School of Nursing has tapped into their theater department to come and train the nursing students improv and different theater workshop theater techniques that solve
right.
that help with coping mechanisms. That's
Mhm.
solving a real world problem that we're tapping into the arts for that. We
Humans have, yes, humans have been expressing themselves creatively since the beginning of time, right? And the whole idea of creative expression and ability, and not even ability, but opportunity is inherent in all of this. And there's research, there are real life examples, there's data about how all of the things that you just said, how they make a difference. And
and yet,
somehow there's not quite the realization that will make that investment yet, but every day that's what we're working on.
right? And yet, that's where to me it's mind-boggling
It is.
that so that's where I get back to we need to reframe the
Right.
story to resonate because you tell me when did we start talking about the economic impact, the creative economy? How long ago did you start talking about that?
Oh my gosh, I've been talking about the creative economy since the last millennium. That's what I say because, you know, from the moment I started this job, I started to, or I, in my previous work, because I did this work for before this, trying to figure out how to, get people's attention. And I'd say that, John Hawkins wrote the Creative Economy book in 2001. Richard Florida came out with his Rise of Creative Class, which I don't like that phrase either, because creative class
Mm-hmm.
seems to mean that there are
Right.
only some people who get to be creative, but still, he did a lot to promote, the whole idea. And so since in the last more than 20 years, I've been beating that drum. And I would say it's just about in the last up to 10 years that people are like, wait, what? What did you just say? Could you say that again? Because up until about 2008, the economy was good and you didn't have to
Right.
think about anything except getting a factory in your town. Then the economy crashed. Then we had the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. And now every mayor, every person who is concerned about their community wants to get those young people with money there. They want to stop the tide of young people leaving. They want to make sure that there are things to do. And I spend much of my time with the League of Municipalities and the Counties Association and the rural development people and all of those kinds of people we are all speaking the same language. And I get to tell the stories of how it's already working. And then the other part of that is, and with just a little more investment, Wisconsin could be the leader in this. And so one by one by one, it's happening.
Is Wisconsin investing though?
No, I mean, people are investing, the private sector is investing. More and more communities on the local level are having public art committees and grant programs and things like that. Our state is 49th out of 50 states in per capita funding of our state arts council. Certainly there are other ways that the university system, the tech colleges, K to 12, those are all ways that the arts happen as well. But our we have a 10.8 billion with a B economic impact according to the US Department of Commerce, and yet we put 18 cents per capita into our state arts council when Minnesota next to us is doing over $7. So that is every single minute of the day, that's the message I try to get. It's happening, and we have to make sure that people don't say, oh, well, it's happening, it's great. It's happening because people are killing themselves to make it happen, and the private sector should not be expected to carry the burden, right? So people are being amazingly creative. We've got a million stories, we've got the data, we've got we've got all the tools, and so it's happening. It's just,
Yeah.
it's slower than it should be, but it's happening. So Ohio has done good work, much better.
Well, I was
But
told,
there's still plenty of work to do.
yeah, I was told during the pandemic that the arts are for rich white old people.
Oh,
When I was
I just want
seeking,
to, I want to scream when I hear things like that. I want to
well,
scream very loud.
yes, and this is when I was seeking one-time funding, and I thought, okay, and this was from one of the big three, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
So I thought,
yeah.
okay, why is there still that perception? And then I thought, oh, I know why. I don't know if you've heard me tell this story. Because we've done it to ourselves. So the arts need to come out of the closet,
Totally.
because for 40
Absolutely.
years, and it worked, and then term limits happened, and then STEM happened, and arts education, right? It worked then,
And
but all of
gerrymandering and
right.
redistricting and all of those things.
So, but we didn't change. What did we do? We took the governor to the orchestra gala. We brought them to the opening of the Nutcracker or Hamilton, or we brought them to the performance. They saw the magic. When you're at a gala, what do you see? You predominantly see older, affluent, probably political donors at these functions. We don't look like we're hurting very much, right? But so think about when Honda wants a tax incentive. I say Honda because we have a big Honda plant in Ohio and they're doing all this work. So when Honda wants a tax incentive or investment from the state, they don't take the governor to the Honda dealership and say, look at the 2024 Civic, isn't it beautiful? They take them to the assembly plant floor and they say it takes these many Ohioans to build one car.
Right.
And they get their tax incentive. We don't show the process. We don't show the work behind the performance to say, and we're highly skilled. These are highly skilled trades jobs. So I shifted the conversation and said, Senator, we've done a bad job on showing you the sector. We have a creative workforce that is a highly skilled workforce that is the cross section of every industry. All of these silos that we have, that we want to be the most innovative state and we want to bring manufacturing back and tech and all of that, they're all siloed. The only cross sector is creativity, which is what the arts do every day. We have
which is what every single person, no matter what job they're in or what they like to do or whatever, needs.
Correct. So we hear from tech companies who say, you know, we've got problems or challenges with employees because they don't collaborate. We have a university medical school that reached out to our museum and said our second year med students aren't collaborating. This is the year that they're supposed to work as a team to diagnose. They get a list of symptoms, but they're not collaborating to diagnose. Do you have a program, museum, that has nothing to do with medicine that might help them? We sure do. And they brought these students in and they walked them through a 45-minute workshop on how to see how to look at a painting and what do you see? Every student that left that workshop said, oh my gosh, I now realize that I was prejudging a patient, an individual coming in based on how they looked. And I wasn't really listening to their symptoms. I was prejudging based on their appearance. So, so again, it's like all these different tweaks where we're a cross section. You know, I say Edison was a creative. The Wright brothers were creative, because they couldn't have been an inventor if they weren't curious and thinking about solving a problem to make that.
And that's what everybody, again, has and we need to nurture. And so we've had, again, it's not resulted in quick solutions. I don't even like that phrase, because we don't solve a problem. That people want to solve problems, but really you have to address the underlying issues, and that's way more complicated. I spend a lot of time not sitting at a computer at art centers and city halls and with all those people, bringing the people together to show that, you know, look at this amazing artist who's doing X. Look at this brewery that started that not only produces really good craft beer, but also highlights artists' work. You know, the more that we, as you said, put the creativity and the decision makers and regular people together, the more there's this groundswell, and we're seeing it. You know, again, I wish it was going faster, but we're trying. But what we're seeing is that one heart and mind at a time are understanding, you know, that, oh, this group of people who are trying to do this in my small community are actually part of the economic development world and are actually, I should probably talk to them some more. So it really is happening. There's never enough time to do, you know, the work will never be finished. But I feel like what got us through the pandemic, right? Creativity in the face of unimaginable odds. And now that we're in this new world, which looks the same as the old world, but really is a different world, the amount of stuff that's happening in Wisconsin's big cities, small towns, and everywhere in between is pretty profound. And so we've, you know, my job is to put those people together with the people that can make the decisions and just keep marching forward. So I'm, you know, both exhilarated and exhausted at the same time.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, one last question. So we touched on obviously funding, right? So I polled a couple hundred of arts CEOs a couple weeks ago, and the top three most pressing concerns, and they were all pretty much neck and neck, was funding, public funding, board participation, the lack of arts boards not participating, not
people are
engaging outside of
board. Are overwhelmingly busy.
Yep. And then
really hard to get people's attention.
Right. And then earned revenue. But we hear all the time, I know you do, about aging audience. And I know that we're not the only ones that are dealing with this. Interestingly, Germany last fall, fall of 22, instituted a new policy that they gave every 18-year-old, when you turn 18, you get 200 euros to spend between the ages of 18 and 20. I know when I heard this, it's like, I want, so
on anything or
on cultural, it has to be on cultural, but it cannot be big box like movies. It has to be a culture. In the first 6 months, they realized $3.8 billion in their economy.
Oh my God.
I heard this last fall, and I'm like, I want to do this in Ohio so badly. But what I have started is I am working with this university that I'm hopeful that we're creating a program that if for every current college student of this university, they can get in free to these cultural institutions in their region. And so I've gone out and I've talked to 8 cultural institutions, from the symphony and the theater on down, because we hear there's still a 30% decline in audience attendance rate. These are the demographic that these organizations, traditional arts, are dying to engage and get in the door. So the idea would be that the goodwill gesture of a university to offer all of their students free access to the arts. They have transportation that they can get there. These organizations, your seats are going empty. They're empty anyway. So why not fill them with the demographic that you so want to engage? So I've done this kind of rough test market where I've talked to students, I've talked to the school, the university, and I've talked to these organizations about this process. So I'm hopeful that within this year of 2024, we're going to start this pilot program, which I said the university can also enlist their marketing students to come up with the marketing program. And then let's get your data analysis or statistics students to benchmark to see, is this working or not? Then we get arts administration students to each adopt an institution, because these institutions are saying, we love the idea, but we don't have the capacity to actually do this. Well, what if we assign you an arts administration student to work with you on developing it? They're going to get real world experience. The institution's going to get help. So I'm kind of putting it out of the bag in this conversation. My hope is that we can get this in Ohio, higher ed by higher ed, and we're integrating higher ed programs that so desperately want that connection to real world jobs for their students, helping these institutions with that and getting butts in seats that are not just creatives, but that are med students and engineering and business school and all of that,
Oh,
just to see,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
And you know, this is a brilliant idea and also points out the sea change that we're seeing in terms of how people participate at all, because, you know, it's really easy to just look at your screen, rent a movie, watch a live thing, and it's very easy to stay home,
yes.
number one. And but then when you think of commercial arts, you know, Taylor Swift,
Oh yeah.
every Taylor Swift concert, I heard this a radio interview, was basically like a Super Bowl in terms of the amount of money spent on tickets and merch and hotel rooms and restaurants and all the things that the people that went to the concerts did. I mean, that was a huge cultural, she is a huge cultural phenomenon. And so she's the arts, right? I mean, that's not for nonprofit arts, but she's an arts phenomenon. And then you know, you look at festivals and the ways that people interact with the arts. And so what I see, of course, as you do, is that, you know, the sort of nonprofit arts organizations, big or small, are really trying to figure out how to evolve with the times.
Right.
It's slow, you know, but they're all really trying to do that. And there's successes and there's, you know, looking towards success. And we're in a time of change and chaos, and it's again, it's, you know, it's exciting and crazy.
And it's all about how do you want to be engaged? What experiences do you want? But everyone talks about, when they think of the arts, it's anything live performance.
Right.
It's not,
Which is a very, very big,
yes,
a big universe.
correct. So again, we go back to, we'll end it on what we started, reframe to resonate. And
Yeah,
market to the
I like
audience
that. That's
you
great.
market to the audience you want, not the audience you have. I just saw a symphony post. They're going to do some, I don't even know what they called it, but it's come watch our rehearsal and have some coffee. And so it's these great, right? The symphonies are trying to bring,
meet people.
but it's 10 a.m. on Friday. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
Wait, people have jobs.
Every millennial that I know is either in school, or Gen Z is either in school or working at 10 a.m. on Friday.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
again,
As are most people.
It's like this. It's like a great idea, but you got to meet them where they are. So let's do it
Great
10
idea for
a.m.
retired people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, I think that that organization will probably figure that out at some point, and then have a 7 p.m. on a Friday night social hour kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, this
So,
has been great talking with you. I hope we can do it
oh
again
yes,
soon.
good to talk with you. Thank you so much for the conversation and all the great phrases. I'm going to totally steal them.
I will send you an email and list them all out
Okay,
for you.
wonderful. We'll keep talking.
Okay. Take
Okay,
care.
thanks,
Bye.
Angela. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.